rongo ki te tangi a te korimako. Kōrero flowing out the hooker force. Kaupapa relevant, kaupapa out of bounds, kaupapa exigent, kaupapa paramount. Nā ko nā whakapiri mai ki te kaupapa tino whakahira hira whakarongo pi kari kari mai. Hare hare mai, o Taringa hare hare mai. We gotta gather up close everybody. Gather up close everybody. Kani kani move that body. Kani kani move that body. Kei ko nā koutou e pī kari kari mai ana. Kei ko nei mātou e kōrero atu ana. O tira e mihi atu ana kia koutou kua hui mai anei ki te pokapū o Taringa. E whakapāho atu ana i te pīki auahi.
Pīki?
Pīki! Auahi o Te Awamutu. Bustling Metropolis, here at Te Wānanga o Te Aroa. Nau mai, hoki mai, anei kia Taringa.
Ooh, that tone change.
Thank you very much.
Take a bow, sir.
That always played at the end when Elvis was leaving. Anyway, tātou mā, tēnā koutou.
Tēnā koe.
Tēnā koe.
Tēnā
tātou.
Yes, like that shirt too.
Well, I was just going to make comment on our colour scheme today, Tuahine. I love the brightening up our studio, ne?
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And we bring, you know, the hues, not only visually, but audibly.
Audibly? Oh, wow. We are rather sophisticated today.
Oro nei. Oro nei. Ai. Nō reira e te iwi, anei anō mātou. Me ngā mihi aroha kia koe, te puaheiri kare koe iko nei, nō reira.
Tika.
Hoi anō e whakaroti ana koe.
Ai.
Me koe hoki te tuahine, ka urangi tēnā koe.
Ai.
Okay.
Right.
Alrighty. E hana tātou.
Well, you know, he piki kaupapa tā tātou. And I know that we are at episode number 300 and something. Ooh. You know, we're getting up there.
Yep.
We're getting up there. And sometimes it's hard to find some new content. Yeah. So what I've done is I'm going to rehash a few things that we've covered probably in the very early stages of Taringa, and then introduce some more challenging structures that I think are going to be good for our people. Yeah? Okay. And what does that mean for Erica?
Engari.
Yeah.
We can't forget, lest we forget our weekly conundrum.
Yeah, well, yes.
Of finding a kiwaha.
We've got all the flash words. Yeah. Well, yes, we would have been in a conundrum if we missed our kiwaha. And we're going to go centre stage for our kiwaha.
Ai. Kia pono au, I puta tētai kōrero, ia mātai kōrero ana. And I maringi noa tētai kōrero i au, e hara i te kiwaha, engari ko te āhua o te takotoranga o te kupu, ko te reo kiwaha, tērā.
Ai.
Ko te reo ōpaki tērā, ko te reo o te iara. Someone could be talking about something and saying, wow, such and such is going on, but this has happened, and therein lies the problem.
Therein lies the problem,
yep.
Right.
Therein lies the problem. Ne? So, and I said, well, ai, kei kona e raruraru ana.
Tēnā koe. Kei kona e raruraru ana.
Kei kona e raruraru ana.
E raruraru ana.
Ai, kei kona e raruraru ana. Nā, hei rā weke māku, ne? Anei tētai tauira. E kōrero ana Jared, rāwa ko Erica. Mō tētai hui ka atu ki tētahi marae. Ai riro nā Erica te marae e tāpui me ngā kuki e whakarite. Ana ka pātai hia Erica e Jared, tēnā, kua rite tō tātou marae. Ka mea Erica, ai, kua tāpui tia te marae. Ka tai a Jared, ka pātai. E pewhi ana te taha ki muri. Ara ngā kuki, ana ko tana whakautu. Kei kona e raruraru ana.
And therein lies the problem.
Therein lies the problem. So I've got the marae sorted.
Yeah.
We don't have any chefs.
Yep. Ko tīmatau ki te hiki maitai, ki te whare whakapakari tinana. Iara, ka haere ki reira. Ne? Ka pātai mai tuku hua. Pewhi te taha ki te kai. Kei kona e raruraru ana.
Kei kona e raruraru ana.
Mai.
Kei kona e raruraru ana. Ne?
So does it always have to be kei kona e raruraru ana ki tō whakaaro?
Kaore.
Okay.
Ne? Kua nei pia, and I'm going to use that same example, the gym. Well, ka rau I te rare ki te gym. Engari mo te kai, kei kona e kaha mai ana.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I just whipped that up.
And there you go. And it's actually a point I want to come back to because, you know, e te iwi, sometimes we're trying to plan our taringa session, and when you put too much thought into a kiwaha, sometimes it doesn't have a natural occurrence.
Yes.
And it was actually, as you referred to, bro, just in our discussion that we were having, something just magically appeared, and koe nā te reo kiwaha.
Koe nā te reo kiwaha.
Because I actually, I often used to ask my my grandmother, I said, Nan, hea te tehi kiwaha i kaha kōrero ai koutou i a koutou, te mariki ana.
Yeah.
She goes, hea tēnā.
Aye.
Had no idea what a kiwaha was.
Yeah.
And she would just say to me, ko te reo tēnā.
Koe nā.
You know, that's just the way we spoke. But actually, when you started to have, and especially in a more ōpaki setting, just getting our kaumātua or our avid speakers of te reo comfortable to actually let the language flow, then you have these gems.
Koe nā hoki.
Then you have these gems. So kei konā e raru ana
Aye.
is just a natural way of speaking. But when you really drill down, he kiwaha ke tēnā, and being able to manipulate it, ne?
Ana. And kei no konei, e ki atu anau tuatai, he taunaki i e tai o nā kōrero kuputake. Kia kaua koutou tātou e pōhehe, ko te reo kiwaha, mo te reo ōpaki anahe,
Ai.
ko te reo kiwaha, he reo kāuta. Ko te reo kāuta, he reo anō tērā.
He reo anō tērā.
Okay, yeah.
He reo anō tērā. So don't get those things mixed up.
Okay.
And don't box, and because kiwaha don't box themselves,
That's right.
we shouldn't box them in either. And of late, I've been having my own sort of huritau, personal reflections, wānanga on really what is a kiwaha.
Okay. I'm a bit afraid to ask where's this going, but so what in terms of how tēnei mea te kiwaha, are you talking about, it's obviously how we've boxed in kiwaha?
Yes.
Right.
I think now, you know, I think of that great book, I oti Taumihiata mā te tuhi. Ko atu i te rueta koutou ka mahi
Ai.
nei nira.
Ai pea.
Tērā pukapuka. Kiwaha.
Kiwaha.
And you're very lucky if you've got a copy of that book. I think now, with my, I won't say expertise, but my involvement i roto i te reo,
Tēnā koe.
kōrana i runga i te whakaiti, there are genres of kiwaha.
Yes.
There are types of kiwaha. There's not just one kiwaha.
Aye.
And there are kiwaha that, much like this one, kei ko nā e, and others, tō ai and others,
Aye.
I think they're in a category of their own.
Yes. Ka pai.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you've often spoken about levels of kiwaha, eh?
Yeah, we've got the kiwaha grade.
Aye.
Yeah, so, and then you've got the ones there like, you know, 10th dan. Because talk about the... yeah. Tai ki te rima,
I actually
eh?
get that. I get that. Yeah.
Yeah, tai ki te rima. Engari, ara no atu e tehi.
Yeah.
Ki oku nei whakaaro. Ai. And, yeah, o pewhi o whakaaro ki te tēnā, te keiko nai raru ana, he, mo te conundrum.
Well, you know where when our tuahine used conundrum, I thought to myself, actually, you know, there may not be a kiwaha, but there's a saying that we often use in te ao Māori, which is kei tua o tā wauwau.
Yeah.
Kei tua o tā wauwau. Now, a lot of people
Kei tua o
think
tā wauwau. Out the
tā wauwau is has something to do with pōrangi or, you know, someone who may have lost their way.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, I thought it was like, that's out the gate.
Yeah, well, that's how a lot of people use it. You know, kei tua o tā wauwau. What most people don't realise is that, from my understanding, and I know my Uncle Tom Raw will probably shoot me the next time he sees me, but it's a kōrero between Te Wahanui and Rewi Maniapoto. And so fitting given the recent events, our commemoration, 160th commemoration at Ōrākau. Anyway, there was a conundrum that the iwi was facing, and from what I understand, the longer kōrero is kei tua o tā wauwau te rā e whiti ana. Yeah? So beyond tā wauwau, this conundrum that we're facing at the moment, the sun shines, there is a solution, so on and so forth. So how people are using kei tua o tā wauwau now, as you know, they're a bit cray-cray, I think that's what our people use.
Yeah.
And similarly, what I've heard is kei mahurangi ke.
Yes.
You know, in our, I think it's our kahungunu people. I'm open to being corrected. They have another kōrero about what that actually means. So, you know, when we're talking about conundrum, I thought, well, there's another sort of like kiwaha that people are using now, kei tō tāwauau. But when in actual fact, it's a longer kōrero. It's got a lot more history. And the context is a little bit different.
Koe raka.
Ne?
Ana, koe nau e me nei, ara te kāhui, kiwaha nei, he whera.
Ai.
He whakapapa tōna ki tētahi
Tēnā
kōrero tuku iho. Hey. And so that's what I'm saying. There are kiwaha that I believe well, they're in that category. So ones with place names in them.
Oh, yeah.
It's got mahurangi. You've got tāwauau. And that's, you know, could be a place. Or if you look at the kupu wawau, which is also a kiwaha, taku mōhio e kaha ana I roto e a waikato. Te wawau ana ne. Wawau ana.
Yeah.
Sort of, ko te cray-cray, engari.
Wowzers.
Well, see, my, and Nan used to use the word, he wāwau. Ne?
A wāwau.
Wāwau. And ko te wāwau is a fool. Ne? So when I hear the word, when I hear people using that, I think it's either wawauana or wāwauana. Kei te mōhio au ki tērā kupu.
Yeah.
You know,
Like
so if you were a
foolish.
fool, they wouldn't call you a pōrangi. They'll say, whakarongo ki tērā wāwau e kōrero ana.
Ako ne pēr.
Ai pēr.
Koe rā ke te mea tika.
Ai.
Ana I roto I te wā, kua ngaro, te whakahua tia tika.
Ai.
Huatanga rāne. O tērā, ana kua wawau.
Wawau.
Ko te wāwau.
Ai. Ka mōhio pai anau ki te wāwau.
Yeah.
He kōrero anō kei roti te whānau e whakamārama.
E māram. Yeah. Okay, tai.
Okay, let's go.
Okay.
Let's go.
Ko riri māua.
Tēnā koe, tēnā kōrua. So just a very quick...
Speaking for yourself.
Very quick reflection here. So our last episode, we went right back to the beginning, to the pronunciation, and we had a look at syllabic stress and how, of course, te reo Māori is quite unique within the Polynesian languages of the Pacific, Proto-Polynesian, and then, of course, we come down, ka heke iho, ki te whānau o te reo Māori, the Proto-East Polynesian. And, of course, tauira ne. Our tauira e tai was Erica, and she was under the pump.
Yeah.
Yeah, but did very well.
Na hot seat, the tūru wera.
Yeah, aye. And, of course,
I te mura o te ahi.
we went back right to the beginning, really, of te reo pronunciation, and we found that actually when we go back to the basics, there is something in there for everyone, you
Kia
know,
ora.
no matter what level we're at.
Koe nā.
Today, however, we're going to have a look at a kaupapa that most people are already familiar with, that Taringa has already done a number of sessions on, but I think we can just take a little step further.
Kia ora.
Ne? And actually, e te iwi, they have no idea what I'm going to talk about, and it's always like this, and so you're going to get the true reaction. But today we are studying passives. Ne? Ko te reo hāngu.
Okay.
That was a big puha.
Well,
Okay.
no, you know, when we're in the studio and we're not being filmed,
Aye.
I just can't.
put on always looks at me and he's like,
I want to see the reaction. As soon as Jared's lips went, I knew everything slowed down for you. And you...
Yeah, the world just started going in
like,
slow motion.
Oh, God, there's going to be a double S follow.
Well, I tell you what, Erica, you know, when people talk about passives and statives and or, you know, the heart palpitations go up, you know.
Yeah.
Because they know that actually it's a hard structure to master, you know. It is a different way of structuring language, and you can really stuff it up.
Yeah.
You know, you can really stuff it up. So, you know, when we're going to have this conversation about passives, there's obviously stuff that we've already studied. So we won't go right back to the beginning. Ne?
Okay.
Because we know that there
Remember
are...
it,
There's There's content there on Taringa. If you want to go back and have a look, then kei reira noho ana. Ne? But what I want to do is just probably he whakawhānui e te hi wāhanga ne, o te passive. And really, the first issue I want to talk about is, and it comes up a lot, well, what blinking passive do I use? What passive ending? Is it a tia? Is it a hia? Is it a ngia? You know, so on and so forth. And we've had this conversation before. And probably the what most people don't know is that the ngia can be attached to nearly all words and still have context and still have meaning to it. Ne? The taringa will still accept.
Koena.
E reka ki te taringa.
Yeah, ka manakitia e te taringa.
Ai, ka manakitia e te tangata.
That's nice. Yeah.
Because sometimes, you know, we would like for instance, whakatū. Yeah. Our Māori ears don't accept I whakatū whia. Now, you see, that was an instant reaction where I roto I a koe,
I was like,
mea ana, kao.
I wasn't ready for you to go there.
Yeah, whakatū, what did I say? Whakatū whia.
Yeah.
Whakatū whia. What about a whakatū kia?
Well, I could kind of accept it because it reminds me of rangitukia.
Oh, now that
I knew you were going to
tuki.
say that. I did, yeah. I thought that.
But that would be a kao.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be a kao.
That's a call.
Yeah.
So for a lot of Taringa listeners out there, and of course, you know, who are watching now, that can be an issue. And ngia has generally been accepted that you could slap onto any word, no matter what it is, even though I hate the word kaingia. I hate it with a passion. It should be kainga. But, you know, there are a lot of our people, o tāua huangetai, he pai rātou ki te kaingia.
And the same with e te e whangaia me te whangai here.
Yeah, whangai here. You know, there's our ears accept it. Ne? And so that's probably a quick go-to if you're having any problems with being able to choose, you know, which passive ending should be used, actually chuck a ngia on.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, just casually chuck a ngia on.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like when you're stuck though, like you don't just replace everything with a ngia.
Well, you can do if you think you're going to get it wrong.
Yeah.
And you see, which this probably brings me to my next point. So how do you know? So if you don't want to use the ngia, how do we know? Oh, there's no app. Man, if there was an app, if someone was to produce an app with all the passive endings, you know, ka rangatira tēnā tangata, I te moni. Yeah?
Oh.
I te moni. You know, that person will just be absolutely rich.
Yeah.
Because that's a big issue. You know, a o app and a hāngu app means.
Yeah.
But how do we know? So we know, and we've covered this before very briefly when we were talking about ngā kupu whakatū ingoa, which are derived nouns, or some people call them nominalizations, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, all those words, yeah.
Some people, yeah.
Whakatū ingoa, to make them into a noun, yeah?
Koena.
Okay.
So if you have a look at the word wero,
Kia ora.
yeah, so if you have a look at the word wero, ka pai, what would we use as a passive ending for wero?
Here.
Wero here?
Yeah.
Ka pai. Yeah, so we have wero. The passive ending would be wero here. And actually, when we're talking about a derived noun, we can use the word werohanga.
Oh.
Yeah, so you have wero here,
Te
werohanga.
Hangai, te kamau.
There we go.
Oh, right.
That's the part of the
Yeah, there we go.
Yep.
Yep.
So, you know, there's a relationship.
I've just
Wero
remembered
here,
what derived nouns are, I
ka
think.
pai. Wero here, werohanga. What's another example? Tomo. Yeah, so this is a more unusual ending. Tomo. Now, what would
Kia.
you use for tomo?
Tomokia.
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 Ka pai. And then, of course, we would have the derived noun would be...
Tomokanga.
Hey! I'm banging on my chair at te whānau because that was a good one.
Ka pai. Ana, ko piki haere kui tō maunga a whanakau.
Queen.
Okay.
So, you know, when we have a look at the relationship, perhaps we don't know what the passive ending for tomo would be. But hey, I know there's another word for entrance, and it's tomokanga. So if we've got tomokanga, then perhaps tomokia is the appropriate word.
Kia ora.
Yeah? So when we're having a look at the passive endings, well, we know ngia. If we're in dire straits, you know, we don't know what to do, we can put a ngia on.
Yep.
But if we're trying to find the more appropriate passive ending, there is a relationship between our whakatū ingoa, our derived nouns, like tangihanga, ne? Tangi hia, tangihanga.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah? And
Yeah,
there's all
noho.
a relationship.
Noho anga.
Ai.
Nohoa.
And we'll do one more, ne? What about inu?
Inu.
Yes.
Oh, this is a hard one.
Inu mia.
Yes,
But what's the-
kapai.
Okay.
What would the passive... We've
But
got
not-
the clue
but-
there.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a M, so. Inu manga.
Inu manga.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's in the waiata. Hey, was that Moana and the Moa Hunters? Ko tahi anō inu manga or inu hanga, something like that.
Oh, no, the waiata I know was ko te waiata nai tūhoi mō ngā riri ki a Ngāti Kaungunu.
Oh, okay.
Te rongo o te tuna.
Oh, okay then.
And kei rere mea na inu manga wai.
Okay.
Te rito o te rangi. Yeah. Yeah.
Here's our Taringa Google right here.
Yeah. What is a inu manga though?
Well, hey, a place of we would take water.
Like a
Yes,
fountain.
kapai, in that context.
Okay, a spring.
Yeah.
But like, let's just say, a koe me tō inu, ne? And you know, perhaps we put it in context, we're just about to start filming. I said, oh, well, kia kotahi anō te inu manga, and then ka timata.
Yeah.
So just one last sip or one last gulp.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we'll start. So inu manga, in terms of a derived noun, can be used that way as well.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Aye.
Yes. You can just see yourself using that, eh?
Now
Maybe.
that's probably an intermediate learner.
Yeah.
You know, in terms of how to find some passive endings.
Nice.
But there are some other ones where the passive ending, how it's written now, you can't really see it.
Kia ora.
So you have inu mia, so you can see the mia, because we know the word inu, ne?
Kia ora.
And then, of course, wero here. So we can see the here. We can see the mia. We can see the tia. Sometimes we can't see the passive ending a. Yeah, sometimes we can't see the passive ending a. And mō te hunga e taki nei i ngā karakia karaitiana, there's a good example there where, in a very well-known karakia, it's hanga e te atua he ngā kau hou. Ne? Hanga e te atua he ngā kau hou. Ka pai?
I'm looking.
He's looking this way. Now I'm looking at you. Yeah. I don't know where our audience is looking. But in terms of hanga, how would you write hanga?
Whakarongo.
Well,
Hanga.
how would I write it?
Yeah, how would you write it?
And it's not the same as hanga.
Whakarongo. Kōrero anō.
Hanga.
Is it a double A?
Yes, it's either a double A, or if we're not a fan of the double vowels, we would write it as
A macron.
kapai. So it'll be H-A-N-G-A, macron.
Yeah.
Now, you can't see that. You can't tell that it's a passive the way it's written.
Wow.
Because normally we can see the end of the A. Like hapaya.
Yeah.
A. So we know hapai and then the R's on the
And
end.
then, yeah.
But in words like hanga, you don't know that it's a passive. You can't see the passive ending because it's used in
gosh.
macron. Yeah.
Haunga te hangaia, ne?
Haunga te hangaia.
Ai,
Oh my God,
engai.
if you just doubled it.
No, hangaia.
Oh, yeah.
Hanga, hanga ia. Yeah.
Te ia te.
Yeah.
So ia is the passive. But in hanga,
Yeah.
you can't see that. And there's actually quite a few. Oh, well, I've got 3 examples, and these are examples that just come to mind. So you've got hanga within some karakia. There's a word that we use, tapa, instead of tapaina.
Paina.
Yeah, tapa.
Ah,
And tapa is the
I was trying to
passive.
think of another one. Nice.
Yeah. Oh, have you got another one?
No, I was thinking, I was going, oh, what's the other ones? Yeah, tapa.
So there's tapa. Tapa mai te ingo o te whare nei.
Yeah.
Ne? And
I tapa e ia te rotora.
koina.
Yeah.
Yeah, tapa.
So a lot of people would use tapaina
Oh, yeah. Paina. Yeah.
or tapangia.
Yeah.
But tapa, and you would never know tapa.
Only time, ki au nei, ko tētahi wā e tika ana te ngia ki au mo te tapa. Me he au te mahi.
Ah, okay,
I
tapai.
tapa ngia ia e rā wāhi
Ana
katoa.
koina. You wouldn't say tapa.
Yeah.
Yeah, kapai.
Right.
Tēnā koe.
He named, it's talking about a continuous
Yeah.
naming of,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I tapatabangi e ngā wāhi katoa. Yeah. He named all those places, but the tapatapa is saying like the te auau.
Aye.
Ka te auau? Te
repetitive,
continuation. Yeah. So did them in consecutive.
Aye.
Hey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Si nā koe nā te mea o te kiwa, o te
O te
hāngu.
Aye.
Te atahu o te hāngu, te atahu o te reo.
Aye, tika, ne?
Yeah, te atahu o te reo.
And I think my last example. You know,
Another one.
Yeah, it'll blow your mind. It'll blow your mind. Yeah. And the word is whakamana.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whakamana. Now, I had never ever heard whakamana used. So like how people would say whakamana here.
Yes.
Yeah. But ko te ruruhi nei no roto o Ngāti Awa me ona kārangarangatanga, ko Media Simpson.
Yeah, that's okay.
Ne? Oh, you were the more whiti, eh? She was a beautiful old dear.
Oh, yeah.
And there was...
Because we're nerds, so she's beautiful.
And her English was impeccable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and she was quite adamant that Māori speakers should just be fluent in English and as eloquent as English as they are in te reo Māori. But she was he momo anō tērā.
Yeah, there's that clip that went around and she's ripping those news presenters to bits.
Was she?
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me.
But they actually took great entertainment in the fact that they're getting cussed by this, old queer. And, yeah.
Yeah. Well, actually, I only ever met her once. And when I introduced myself, I said, I'm going to university with her mokopuna, Jasmine. And she just looked at me, no hello. And she just said, kia pai to tiaki taku mokopuna. And that was it. I went, oh. But anyway, that's the type of queer she was.
She was neat.
Yeah. And that's one of the words that she insisted should be brought back is whakamana.
Ana?
Okay.
Whakamana.
Whakamana. And I'm like, doesn't that even sound blingin' regal, ne?
Yeah.
So we've got a couple of examples. Hanga, te pā, whakamana. In terms of is there a rule here? Well, obviously we can hear the A at the end there. But does it apply to all words? I don't know. Perhaps these are just isolated examples of where this can be used. Ne? I'm not even going to entertain the question, Erica. So
I'm just trying to think of some words that I could potentially change to an at the end, but haven't thought of one yet.
Yeah. So in terms of passive endings, I think this is something that for even confident speakers of the reo may not have come across before.
Right.
And so that's just extending our knowledge on the passive endings, and that's just the words. We haven't even got into the
Kia wati au ki a
structures.
koe. Māku, mātaringa. Ka puta tēnei kupu ka horapa.
Ai.
Nē ana, e tātou mā tēnā whakahongia, whakamana te kōrero a Jared,
Tēnā koe.
whakamana te kōrero a te kuia, ana kia oho anō tēnei kupu.
Tēnā koe. Okay, so that's just the passive endings.
Well, that's
ne?
just something else I've got to look out for now. If I see some macrons on those three words.
You know it's in a passive form.
Yeah. And me pono au e tai,
Ai.
he tu tahitanga tērā ki au.
Tēnā koe.
Yeah, he mea, he akoranga tērā kārewi mōheo. So tēnā koe.
Ooh, che. He tino session tēnei.
Whakamana.
Tēnei.
Yeah.
Ai.
Ana, he rongo na koutou, eh? Don't know everything. Nobody does.
Tika.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the ko te te o ngā ture, e kaharongo anau, ko te kia kaua e whakahangutia te kupu e whai mai ana I te me.
Right, yeah.
And so when we're talking about me, we're not talking about the me as in the and. Yeah, we're talking about the me in terms of being the suggestive particle. Yeah, and suggestive particle is sort of like a weak command.
Yeah.
Right.
So me horoi koe. It's not telling you should wash. It's more like, well, you should wash. I suggest you wash. So we use it. I use it as a suggestive or a weak command.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So that's the me we're talking about. Yeah. And a lot of people say, well, ko te te o ngā ture, me taku whakae, kia kaua e whakahangutia te tūmahi, e whai mai ana I te me. And kei te tika tērā. But a lot of people think that because you The rule is that you don't use a passive ending after a verb that follows the me, the suggestive particle, that you can't use a passive sentence. Yeah? Because my now we're going to challenge what is our understanding of a passive sentence. Do we have to hear the tia? Do we have to hear the ngia? Do we have to hear the here, whatever it may be, the mia, in order for it to be a passive? And the next you're right.
No.
The hand went over the mouth. I'm like, oh, what are we doing to my mate?
You know that Red Bull you bought from me? I think you should drink it.
So my understanding, what makes a sentence passive in English, well, there's a couple of things there, but one of the big indicators is by.
Yes.
Yeah, is by. So, like, here we go, ka aroha te kuri, and we shouldn't hit dogs, or recently on the news, we shouldn't stun them with the stun guns or the electric things, whatever they are. But anyway, what was I saying? About the dog. Yes. The dog was hit by Jared. So in English, that by is a strong indicator that actually it's the passive. It's in a passive form, as opposed to Jared hit the dog. And he pērā tahiro te te reo Māori.
The subject there where the aronga is the focus.
Where the focus is,
Yeah.
So he pērā te te reo Māori. So when we use the me, we know that we don't have the passive ending after the verb, but it can still be passive. So as an example, me horoi, ne? Me horoi e koe o ringa. Yeah. So me horoi e koe o ringa.
So it's the e.
It's
that
the e
determines it being a passive.
Yeah.
Yes, ka pai. As we know, within any normal passive sentence structures, the e marks the actor, the agent, whatever you want to call it.
So the hands should be washed by you.
Well, yes, but and yes, that's what it actually
you
says.
should wash your hands.
Aye.
But
Ka pai. So
if I'm going to try and make it sound like the by sentence.
Yes, the by.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. And that's where people get confused too, is because they're translating.
Yeah.
And then their translation that's going on in their head back into English stuffs them up even more.
That's
because
right.
we don't speak like that.
We don't speak like that. Aye. So I could say to Paraone, me whakarite koe tātāua te maiti. And just by the use of e koe, the e being in there, and all the other elements of the passive, dropping the e, so on and so forth. Everything else is passive. We just don't have the passive ending in there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. We can't hear the
Because it's come
tia.
after the me.
Because it's come after the me.
Yeah.
Aye.
Yeah. Me whakatū e koutou te whare kikora.
Ara.
Me whakatū te whare e koutou kikora.
Hoina. Yes, and here we go. Yeah, we can manipulate the whole sentence as we see fit.
Yeah.
But
Me horoi e koe
aye.
I ngā rihi.
Me horoi e koe ngā
Ngā
rihi.
rihi. Oh, yeah, that's
ka
right, 'cause
pai.
it's the passive
Kei
and
te
you don't have the
pai.
e's.
Yes. Ka
Yeah.
pai. So everything about that sentence is passive. All the other rules apply. We just can't see the passive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't hear the passive.
Okay.
Yeah. So, for a lot of our Taringa listeners out there, when they hear, there's a way to kaue, whakahangui, muri i te me, then they go, then we can't use passives after a me. Well, it just says don't use that passive ending.
Yeah.
Aye.
Yeah.
Ka pai. And here's another one in terms of another word that takes a passive form, which is taia.
Kia ora.
Yeah, taia.
Yes.
And, here, I think
right, because
I think
you
e
don't
taia
have
he
the
nui o
e's
kōrero
in
e
there
pāni
either.
te rā kupu.
Yeah.
Te kupu taia. Physically being able to do something or...
it's a passive, I guess it's treated as a passive word.
It's treated as a passive, aye.
And it is its own word.
Aye.
Right.
So
it is a full word on its own.
Yeah. What I mean is, well, the other words like poke and pokea, they have that passive ending. That's,
aye.
Taia must always be treated like
As
that.
taia.
Aye, as
Yes.
taia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and I'm still on this mere conversation. Yeah.
Yeah.
So taia being a passive, and the rule that we just spoke about, you can't use a passive word after me, while taia is the exception to the rule.
Because it is, but it isn't.
It is, but it isn't, ne? It follows all the other rules.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's a special character, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a special character. And that's what I was getting at with the Kiwa. There's Kiwa that is a special character, and this is a special character.
Yeah.
Ai.
And kei tētai taumata reo tēnei.
Yes.
Ko kore te hunga kata eno ka tīmata ki te ako e aro ki tēnei whakamahinga o te taia. And koe rā pēr te mate e pōraruraru nei etahi.
Ai.
Ka tapoko atu rānei etahi ki tū o tāwawau. E pāna ki tēnei whakamahinga o te taia.
Ai.
People get in trouble because, and a lot of the time their teachers, and hara tēnei te whakaiti.
Ai.
Etahi pōako kāri te mōhio. Ki tēnei whakamahinga o te taia. Yeah.
So let's just say, and this will never happen, by the way, because he's absolutely loaded. But let's just say Praone wanted to borrow some money from me. It'll never happen anyway because I haven't got any money. Yeah. So, but let's just say he wanted to borrow some. So let's just say Praone owes me money, and he's just about to say to me, I am unable to return your money. Yeah, and I want you to use taia e tai.
Okay.
So I am unable to return your money. Ana, hea te whakamaoritanga.
Kare taia e taku nama.
Me taia e koe. Ne?
Wait, what?
Okay. Kore o tia mai anō?
I'll give the one that everyone probably would use. Ne?
Yes, I know.
Kare taia au, nā moni te whakahoki ki a koe.
Me taia e koe.
Yeah. And then probably...
Like, you should be able to.
You better be able
You
to.
better be able to. Ne? And then I'm going to use the other one that I used first that probably only this many people would use.
Aye.
Kare tae au taku nama.
Ai, ka pai. Or my debts to you, ne?
Yeah.
I'm unable to fulfill.
Yeah.
Me taia e koe e tai.
Yeah.
Ne? So I've used me taia. You bloody better be able to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the exception to the me rule.
Yeah, me tae e koe.
Me taia e koe.
So that's the only exception.
Yeah. And of course,
Following
you see, I had never heard it. And if I did hear it, I probably would have been one of those people. Kao kari tika.
Yeah.
And you know, e mihi anau ki tō tātou hoa ki a Leon.
Yeah.
Ne? And he explained it to me. He goes, kao e hoa e pai ana.
Yeah.
And you know, and I have no embarrassment or shame saying that I learned this from someone else.
Yeah.
Ne?
Oh, you got to learn everything from someone else.
Exactly. And from that day on, I was like, mana, because I didn't actually give a lot of thought to taia is that special character.
Koina.
You know, it is that special word that probably overcomes some of those boundaries and limits.
Koina.
Ne?
And you know, mea ka tika te whakaakona o te taia e te kai ako ki ana tauira, ka ara noa atu ngā āheinga.
Ai.
Ne, i te mea, koera te tai tauira ki a koutou, kare taia au taku nama.
Ai.
Ki au koera te whakautu poto. I tēnā o te ki kare taia au o moni te whakahoki. That's he roa rawa tērā. Ko tētahi o ngā mea tāhua o te hāngu, ko te whakarāpu poto i te kōrero roa ki roto i te kupu kotahi.
Ai.
Ne.
Right.
Yep.
That's one of the things with
So it's all
passives.
summed up with that one.
And
well, people may observe it as a cumbersome sentence. In English it may be, but there's some things you can say in Māori you can't say in English.
Ai.
With the passive. So, tapahia te keke. Tapahia te keke. Sorry, I'm going to take over for a little bit. Tapahia te keke.
Cut the cake.
Okay. Tapahia te keke. Think about the examples.
Slice up the cake.
ka pai.
I was going to say continuously cut up the cake, but I was like, no, it's not.
Well,
that.
you know, same, kei tau horopaki, ne. Now, I said, slice up the cake, cut the cake up, ne, in one word. Tapahia te keke, or two.
Tapahia.
True, right.
I could say, you might say, mea ha te keke nei.
Yeah.
And I could say, me tapahi.
Me tapahi.
Oh,
Yeah.
it should be cut.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know, Erica, I'm sitting here.
Harap, ne?
Yeah.
Me whakarongo pi kari kari.
I'm sitting here geeking out because he used a structure that we just do not have any time to talk about today, and it was ko te ākona o te reo. I think ko ngā tāu.
Oh,
Yeah, and that's a whole other passive structure that we're just not going to be able to explore in this episode. But it's a manipulation of the passive.
But you can bank it for the next
Oh yeah,
time.
absolutely.
Heiha.
Yeah. Last thing, Last thing, just to wrap things up.
I tēnei rā.
I tēnei rā. And it was something that very rarely did my grandfather correct me. Yeah. Because Nan was the teacher,
Yeah.
Ko tō
I was going to say,
mātou-
because he let you just get away with it.
Ko tō mātou koroua. And it's going back to our kuri, actually. Ko tō mātou koroua he tangata mahi. Engari, ko tāna reo, ko te reo Māori. Yeah? And so he would hear things, he wouldn't know why they were wrong. He would just say, he ana te kōrero. And you would think, oh, okay. And one of these examples was the passive. I'm going to use our kuri again because this was the actual kōrero that we had. And he said, ko tāna pātai mai kia au, ko herea e koe tā tāua kuri, koina, ne? Ko waru tana ingoa, ko ira waru.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no reira. Ko herea e koe tā tāua kuri, taku whakahoki atu ki aia, ai, ko herea e au tā tāua kuri, ka ki mai, ka he. And passive, kei te tika, kao, ko here hia e koe tā tāua kuri.
Oh.
And that's the exact same reaction I had.
He asked you with herea,
Herea?
so why couldn't you follow reply
Now this
with
is
herea?
a tikanga reo, not a ture reo. And I just want to make that difference. There are language rules that are linguistically acceptable, te mea, te ahara. But there are certain tikanga within our reo, appropriate usages, which to the native Māori, if I can put it that way, e tai,
Ai, koia.
ne, e he ana. And he didn't like the fact that I responded to his question using herea. Ko te tikanga ki aia, me huri, me rereke te arohangu, the passive ending should be different. Now that was a tikanga reo. Now I've spoken about this at ngā kura reo, when I used to attend. And a lot of taura got millions of questions there.
Yeah.
Well, what's the rule? And I said, look, it's not a rule. It's a tikanga. And we have certain ways of speaking that are acceptable in every iwi. And to my grandfather, I made a very big mistake.
Wow.
And he was quite
Because
big and grumpy about it too.
Yeah.
Kao, ko here hia e au.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
kia ora. Never forgot that.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I just wanted to share that because often kupu 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 is about wete reo, ture.
Ai.
Ne?
Kei taua kaupapa nōra te tikanga reo ne. Hara tēnei te kupuhangu. Same thing, I got pulled up and I never forgot it. And it was from using I roto i a tainui anyway. And kare pētai o tainui e aro mai ki tēnei, engari koe nei tāku, I whakamahi au I te kupu tatari.
Okay.
Ara, o tētai kuia. Ne. Ana ko te koro ki au. Kare koe tatari tō kuia. But I am waiting.
Right.
Ka whanga koe.
Okay.
Which is the same thing.
Yes.
And that's what I'm thinking, nei, what is the same thing? And then I ki te ara, e hane pītonu ana ne.
Aye.
Dumbfounded. Ka mea mai. Ka whanga te mokopuna I tana kuia. Ka tatari te kuia I tana mokopuna. And I still didn't
Tikanga
get it.
tērā.
Yeah.
He tikanga.
I still didn't get it. And then, ka noho. And then I think I said, tatari impatiently waiting? Like, koina. Ko te
Okay.
tatari te pēnei. Where's bloody thing?
Okay.
Yeah.
Koe ra te kōrero ki au.
Okay.
Bloody hell, hurry up. Koe ra te tatari. Ko te whanga, Hey, and you should never be like that to your pakeke.
Yeah.
Aye.
So from that
Have
day
patience.
forth, no, he rereke te tatari I te whanga. Koina
Yeah.
te kōrero ki au. And e tikanga reo tērā.
E tikanga
Kia
reo.
mātai.
Aye.
Yeah. Rite ki tēnā, ne? Some may disagree with me.
Absolutely.
But then, the times I heard since that time, and then I was more aware to it. Ne? And when I listened to my old people and I heard how they were using it, I thought, kuia. Ne? They'd use tatari for some things and whanga for other things.
Yeah.
Nā, me e noho nei, haere mai na te pai, e ahana, e whanga ana, kia tai mai te pai.
Ai.
Pai. Ka hipa te wā, te tikanga me tai mai te pahi, e tatari ana i te pahi nei.
Te purani pai nei.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So that's,
yeah.
So, Erica, and when I'm talking to you, I'm actually talking to the rest of our Taringa listeners. There's ture reo, then there's tikanga reo.
yeah, he pai tēnā wānanga. That's
he
another
pai.
one.
Yeah.
Joe, koutou, if you want to know who Joe is. Kei tua i te kamera. Tuhia nā kaupapa nei, because he wānanga pai tērā.
Aye. And even our passive kōrero. E hoa mā, we only got through half of what I wanted to get through today.
I
But
know
we're getting
it's
the
going to be
eyes.
episode, another one.
Yeah. Well, I think
Because she's
so,
just waiting. She was waiting.
I was thinking, that wasn't actually as bad as I
No,
thought it was
you
going to
didn't
be.
even change the same colour as Kei te ori te tonu.
Ai. Nā re taima, koe nei te hākari i tēnei wā. Ne? Ko te rere hāngu. And it's just extending on what some of us may have already known. And hopefully there's a couple of gems that make our lives a little bit easier. Ne? And I think we're going to have to do a follow-up session. Just looks like the way that cookie's going to crumble, ne?
Ana.
Nā re tai, koe tēnei.
E mihi ake ana.
Ai.
Tuatai tō haerenga mai. Tō āwhina mai i tā tātou kaupapa. Mai te wā,
Tō
i
whakawhānui
tono ai
mai.
koe e au kia haere mai. Koe nei tonu tāu he manaki mai i a Taringa. And haunga nā akoranga e riru ana i te hunga e ako ana i te reo, ko tātou katoa tērā. Ko tētei momo pēnei i tō tāo hoa, i kōrero ngia e koe. Ko nā kōrero nei, he whāngai anō i te Māori.
Ai,
Ne?
tēnā koe.
Ana koe neu e mihi nei, e te kai whāngai mai i tōku Māori, ka mihi rā ki a koe. O tira tātou katoa, ko tā tātou he whāngai i te Māori o te reo, i nā hoki te whāngai tātou i te Māori o te reo, ka whāngai hoki tawa Māori i a tātou katoa. I runga i tērā, e mihi ake ana, nō reira, tēnā rā koutou katoa.
Hei kona!